ladies and gentlemen, this is Eddie Marcus here again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. I got a subject matter I want to speak with you on tonight. Perhaps I've spoken on it before, but it seems to have, new insight. The subject matter is, death is your friend. We as people are in bondage. There are all kinds of things that we experience in our lives every day. On the one hand, it appears as though it could be good, and on the other hand, it appears as though it could be the opposite. In this world that we're living in most instances, it ends up being the opposite. But I want you to know that in this walk of life, death can be your best friend. I made some notes that I'd like to refer to. It says here, why fear death? Well, we have been conditioned to fear death. The reason that we've been conditioned to fear death is to keep the earth supplied with sheep, with slaves. You see, nobody wants to die. Killing is a crime. It's a sin. Unless the powers want you dead through abortion, through murder, through assassinations, through war, through terrorism, through capital punishment, and even suicide or capital punishment. Now why? For the reasons mentioned above. Yet, dying is a creator's God-given way that every human can maintain their personal sovereignty. You know you don't have to be here. And you owe it to no one to be or stay anywhere that you are disrespected. They can have this hell. Hell for a steak, a little sex? I don't think so. You see, this death is a peculiar thing. They say in the garden that God said to Adam, the day you choose to follow a lie rather than the truth, you will surely die. Now, as long as God's creations followed the truth, they lived and experienced heaven. Following falsehoods or lies, they experienced the opposite, pain and suffering and slavery. These results are referred to as life and death, good and evil, heaven and hell. The devil, we are told, said, you will not surely die. You will know good and evil and be as gods. We are told that Adam and Eve chose to try the lie, to see what it was like. But having done so, the deceiver claimed victory. I told you you wouldn't die. But Adam and Eve saw themselves as never seen before, suggesting that their spiritual perception was lost and the new world of deception was at play. The rest you know. But I bring this up because I think it's a matter that living in a world obviously dominated by the influence of evil, we are conditioned to know that if we refuse to walk the line of this nature, the consequences could be death, depending on the violations, by the one who said, we would not surely die. So, what I see here, ladies and gentlemen, that I have been given to bring to you is that death is this door that the spirit moves from one place to another perception. Knowing the truth allows one to choose their plight with total confidence, refusing to be possessed by evil anywhere in this world or any place else. Bound by love to tear down all barriers to love wherever they may be found. For if this is the home of such a one, the house must be cleansed. No threats are respected because no outside force can do anything to anyone that they are unwilling to do to themselves. So killing those that willingly and gladly give up their lives to do good is the greatest teaching tool for rolling back the blinds of lies. See, not many people are being killed for doing good, suggesting not much good is being done. And that's why the world is in the condition that is in today. That's why the people are claiming that this is the last days, those last and evil days, and they are just waiting for some great catastrophe to happen. And many are waiting for some riders out of the cloud to save them. And I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, exactly what I've been sharing with you, I used to enjoy. I used to enjoy this world. And I don't really anymore. And the reason is my eyes were open and I saw why many people enjoy this world and many don't. The reason, at least one of the main reasons, is that the ones that are enjoying do so at the exploitation and degradation of those that don't, whether legal or not. We're living in a world, and if you are a student of history, a student of life, you will find that this world today, as we live here in America, and I'm sure probably the same everywhere else, is that whatever thought we have, there's a contradictory thought. When we think good, as much good might be thought, as same amount of evil is thought. When we think love, the same amount of hate is thought. When we think about us having peace and prosperity and joy, the same amount of energy is directed toward pain, suffering, and death. And so what that basically means, ladies and gentlemen, is that every last one of us must and should know who we are. We know that no man on this earth made us. We know that no human being on this earth is responsible for the manifestation of this earth. We might not know where it comes from. If you study history and life, you'll find out there are all kinds of thoughts out there, but it exists, and you and I didn't put it here, and I don't think you did either. And all of the wonderful things that the earth is able to do, it does so by the power that which made it. You and I being made, we can lift up our arms and things because we got them. We got them because they were given to us. We got eyes and our mouths and our ears, and these things can be used because they were given to us to do just that. And when we think about the peace, when we think about the prosperity, when we think about joy, there are rules and regulations that were designed to produce that. The reason that we don't have it is because it has been given to us as a choice. Because there are those of us who want it, and there are those of us who don't. And so in this situation where we are both here, those that don't want it are willing to kill to keep it from happening. And those who do want it, we must be willing to die, if must be, to keep those that don't want it from being successful. Now, what does that basically mean? That doesn't mean that we go out killing folks, the people who want to oppress others. We don't go killing them. But if they bring that aggression to us, we have the God-given right to defend us. And I can promise you this. If we got the God-given right to defend it, and if God can roll back the waters over Red Sea so that the Hebrew children can cross it, God will help us do the things that we must do. But God will only help us, ladies and gentlemen, if we have made up our minds to stand up for what is right. Now, there's only so much power that even we can have standing up against a world that's designed by you know who and doing what you know what. We, as a small, because it'll always be a small group, but we have the power of God on our backs. So I'm saying to you, because you really, many of you don't know God. You've heard about him, you believe in God, but you don't know God. But there are many of you out there who say you know God. And to know God means that God has done something special for you, and something special is required of you. And that is that when somebody has got to put up their life to take the leadership position in this, it got to be those of you who know God. A person trying to lead you who don't know God is going to put you right back on the path with the world, keeping you a slave. So, if you know God, stand up. And everybody who knows God in that midst will know that you know God, because that God is not a Republican God or a Democratic God. It is a one God that has the same purpose all across the board. And that's peace and prosperity and joy for people who want it, and hell for those who don't. So, we coming up at this election. You can hear everything about Donald Trump, and you can hear everything about Sanders. Sanders got to be a little bit more specific. Donald Trump maybe not. But what both represent is change from the bull that we've been going through all of our lives. I don't care who you are, as long as you've been living in America and you've been going through this political system, you've been going through bull. That means if you're 18 years old, 2 years old, or 65 or 90, you've been going through straight bull. And all of us are tired of it. And we do not trust the people who've been in power to make any changes. And the reason that we don't trust them too, because we've learned that they are not the problem. We have been the problem. And now we are awakening to say, we don't need you to tell us what you're going to do for us. You don't even know what we want. But we are coming together as a people, determining and recognizing amongst us, first of all, those things that are common amongst us, so that we can guarantee those things to ourselves. And yes, we understand that there is a power. Some people call it the Illuminati. Some people refer to it as a New World Order, who plans to take over the world, starting with America, because they got a whole bunch of them already depressed. But having taken America, they think the rest of the world will just throw in the towel and give up. But ladies and gentlemen, they are trying all kinds of false flag things to bring in martial law. We have discovered that they tried to start the New World Order with the destruction of the World Trade Center. Somebody said there was a time we needed a war on drugs for 40-some years. Now they want war on terror. And so in this destruction of the New World Trade Center, we have been fighting terror ever since. Looked like we were just constantly fighting war, constantly taking it to the people. Not ever demanding that our system of government treat us right, let alone somebody else. So unless we demand that they treat us right, they're never going to treat anybody else right. And this chaos that's going on will always continue. So we are going to recognize what is commonly required of us and guarantee that to ourselves. And we will have representatives. We will have representatives. And if you happen to go in and you don't represent these causes, you will be coming out less than some 4 years. As soon as we recognize